Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a bold at a Kubota dealership sparks a 6-hour manhunt, but the suspects remain on the run. Plus, a new position at the Victoria County Sheriff's Office aims to streamline healthcare services, how this change could impact the department. And why mass Noew layoffs are raising concerns about future disaster preparedness.
We are going to be picking up our winds by tomorrow, but they're going to be coming from the south. As a result, the humidity is going to be rising on the west coast. Already the next frontal system is set up for us sometime over the weekend. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment.
And UHV Baseball makes history reaching the top 10 in the NAIA poll for the first time. We'll talk more about this and their next game coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie. Don Brubaker has the night off. A bold theft at a Kubota dealership in Hallettsville led to an intense manhunt, but the suspects are still on the run. Thieves cut through a fence at the Kubota tractor dealership off Highway 77, stealing 2 zero-turn mowers and stashing them in a nearby brush line. But when they returned Sunday night to retrieve their loot, deputies had already replaced the mowers with a decoy and set up a game camera. Realizing they had been outsmarted, the suspects took off on foot. Law enforcement launched a 6-hour manhunt using drones, hound dogs, horses, even calling in a DPS helicopter, though bad weather forced it to turn back. If you saw anything suspicious near the Kubota dealership or County Road 165, contact the Lavaca County Sheriff's Office. You can remain anonymous. Victoria County Sheriff Justin Marr is bringing in a physician assistant to the Victoria County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner's Court approved the position on Monday. The new position will consolidate the current PA role, which is contracted, with the RN supervisor position, which has been vacant. The position will pay around $125,000, which is similar to what is currently budgeted for the 2 roles that will be consolidated, and according to county officials, about $5,000 under market pay. So for a viewer poll today, we're asking, do you support adding a full-time physician assistant to the sheriff's office? We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And from the 5 and 6 o'clock newscasts, the numbers have pretty much flip-flopped. Now 55% of voters supporting adding this full-time physician assistant position to the sheriff's office. So thank you to everyone who voted, and if you haven't, then you still have time to do so. A temporary road closure is coming as crews work on the State Highway 35 overpass project in Jackson County. On Tuesday, State Highway 172 will be closed from State Highway 35 to FM 2143 while crews place bridge beams. If you're heading north from Olivia, you'll detour onto FM 2143, then State Highway 35. Drivers coming south from LaWard will be rerouted onto State Highway 35 as well. Flaggers and pilot vehicles will help guide traffic through the area. Expect possible delays and use caution in the work zone. Well, time to check in on our weather. Let's go to Mac Perez with a look at the forecast. And Mac, we're halfway through the week, so everyone's kind of looking ahead to the weekend. What are we expecting?
You bet. Well, lots of sunshine all the way through the week. The weather will be nice. For me, I'm looking for a little bit of rain. I'm looking out here on the west coast. These 2 storms will combine to cross over and affect us on Saturday of the coming weekend. But at this point in time, I think it's only going to bring us wind and probably not a chance of rain, not a very big chance. Anyway, we'll be talking about that and taking a look at your next 7 days coming up a little bit later on. Back to you, Shawna.
A different type of weather warning last week. The Trump administration's mass layoffs hit NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Now many scientists and politicians are voicing fears about potential interruptions to our nation's weather forecasts. MJ Lee met with one fired weather scientist who worries about his own future and the future of his field.
Right now the wind's 13 miles an hour.
Andy Hazelton is a hurricane hunter.
And you were saying there's like a version of this on the plane.
Oh yeah, a much more sophisticated version of it, with, there's anemometers and all sorts of instruments, radar and things like that.
As a physical scientist working at the National Hurricane Center in Miami, he has flown into the eye of the storm countless times, including catastrophic hurricanes Helene, Dorian, and Ian.
You basically fly through the storm 3 to 4 times, and then the forecasters are getting that data in real time. They're using that for their advisories to tell people, hey, this is where the storm is, this is how strong it is.
But as of last week, Andy is out of a job.
And your last day was Thursday?
Last Thursday, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
He was one of the hundreds of employees at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, whose roles were abruptly terminated as part of the Trump administration's sweeping efforts to drastically slim down the federal government. And it's not just hurricane forecasting. Most divisions of NOAA, which researches everything from the weather to oceans to biodiversity, were affected by the cuts, raising alarm bells across the scientific community about the potential impacts on public safety and the economy.
This is Biscayne Bay. We're out of the Black Point Marina. Right there at that point there is right where Hurricane Andrew, the center of it, made landfall back in 1992.
Andrew was the strongest hurricane to hit South Florida in 1992, only the fourth Category 5 hurricane that century to make landfall in the U.S., leaving in its path catastrophic destruction.
This is the track forecast error.
In the 30-plus years since Hurricane Andrew, Andy and scientists like him have helped make huge improvements to hurricane modeling and forecasts.
Your 5-day here is only 100 miles off.
When he wasn't out on storm flight missions, Andy built codes and graphics that helped predict the path and strength of future hurricanes.
A 5-day forecast now is as accurate as a 1-day forecast in Hurricane Andrew. So think about that. You have 5 days to prepare versus 1. You can convince people to evacuate. You can do a lot more things to prepare your home.
So we've really come a long way.
We have.
Right up until he was fired, Andy says he and his colleagues had been busy preparing for the upcoming hurricane season just a few months away. Now he is entirely unsure what the mass firings at NOAA will mean for the unfinished work.
Do you worry that we are about to go backwards when it comes to the science?
I do. I mean, I hope, I know that the colleagues that I still have there, they're going to work hard and do their best. But, when you have few people in places that were already understaffed, it just gets harder and harder.
And as he wonders about his own future, Andy, like so many Floridians, is also wondering about the next hurricane.
What does it mean for you that you can't do the work that you want to be doing?
I worry for the safety of the people here, my friends, my neighbors, our family, and across the board. I mean, here in South Florida, like I said, we've been pretty lucky since Andrew, but if we look historically, that luck won't last forever.
The Senate's Finance Committee advanced Senate Bill 260, which would increase the amount of funding school districts would get for school safety upgrades. It now goes for a vote in the full legislature. To read the full Texas Tribune article, visit our website, crossroadstoday.com. A 13-year-old boy with a love for law enforcement receives an incredible honor during President Trump's address to Congress. DJ Daniel has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. In 2018, he was diagnosed with terminal brain and spine cancer, but that has not stopped him from making an impact. Over the years, DJ has been sworn in as an honorary officer at hundreds of police departments, including right here in Victoria. You're seeing video from when he was sworn in as an honorary Victoria police officer back in 2022. And on Tuesday night, he got the surprise of a lifetime. During President Trump's address to Congress, President Trump announced DJ would be named an honorary Secret Service agent. You could see the pure shock on his face as Secret Service Director Shawna Currie presented him with an honorary badge. A special moment for a young boy whose bravery and love for law enforcement continue to inspire. Well, here's a look at some of the top headlines you can read in the Cuero Record. Cuero ISD pushes back on school vouchers, and a Yorktown senior is crowned Miss San Antonio Teen USA. To read more, visit DeWittCountyToday.com. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, Canada is striking back after new U.S. tariffs, pulling American products from shelves and imposing taxes on U.S. goods. Plus, doctors say this year's flu season is sending more children to the hospital, how the virus can impact the brain, and why parents are urging others to take it seriously. The Trump administration has dropped a lawsuit that aimed to protect abortion access in a medical emergency. The suit was filed by the Biden administration. Last year, the Supreme Court allowed Idaho hospitals to perform abortions when a woman's life is at risk, but not for serious health complications that are not life-threatening. Idaho is one of a dozen states that bans abortions at all stages of pregnancy. St. Luke's Hospital in Idaho filed its own lawsuit over the state abortion ban earlier this year. On Tuesday, the hospital was able to secure a temporary restraining order to preserve access to emergency abortions. The Trump administration is pausing one implementation of its massive tariffs on the nation's most significant trading partners. The White House announced today that President Trump has granted a one-month exemption on auto tariffs on Mexico and Canada. This comes a day after Trump enacted a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico and doubled a tariff on Chinese goods to 20%. Sherelle Hubbard has more on how world leaders are reacting to Trump's latest moves.
There's a trade war brewing. Canada is resorting to retaliatory measures a day after President Donald Trump doubled a tariff on Chinese goods to 20% and enacted a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico.
Pulling American booze off the liquor mart shelves.
Canada is also responding by imposing a 25% tariff on some U.S. goods, with plans to include more later. Trump spoke with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau Wednesday morning for almost an hour on the issue.
He said that he was not pleased, as you said. He said it's not good enough.
The White House said the decision to pause auto tariffs is so that U.S. automakers are not at an economic disadvantage. But tariff news has sent stocks sinking and consumer confidence plunging this week.
They are just going to raise prices. There is a lot of cross-border traffic involved with the production of every single automobile.
All of our wholesalers are letting us know, hey, the prices are going to go up.
Although U.S. companies and consumers will ultimately be responsible for paying the tariffs, in his address to Congress Tuesday night, Trump spent several minutes doubling down on his tariff agenda.
There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
A federal judge said the Trump administration's efforts to drastically cut federal funding for public health research was likely unlawful. Today, the judge issued a new preliminary injunction. The temporary court order projects a loss of life would be the result if cuts were enforced and research trials were suspended. The judge had previously issued a restraining order against the Trump policy. It would have reduced funding for research institutions by billions of dollars. The judge's 76-page opinion said the Trump administration likely broke both regulatory requirements and a law passed by Congress. That legislation was created to prevent the first Trump administration from implementing such a policy. The CDC says the worst of the flu season is over, but that's not the case for a family in Ohio after the virus left one little girl in a coma. The illness has changed her life forever. Here's ABC's Rhiannon Alley.
Every day I wake up to the nightmare.
An Ohio father is speaking out after his 4-year-old daughter Lachlan got sick with the flu. Her symptoms taking a turn for the worse when she began having trouble breathing and collapsed, her dad rushing her to the hospital.
They had to do 3 rounds of CPR on her before they finally got a pulse.
Lachlan was then transported to another hospital where her family received devastating news.
They came in and told us that she had massive amounts of brain injuries. She'll never be able to walk again. I mean, I imagine she can make noises, but not talk.
There's kind of a number of different ways that the brain can be affected or impacted by the flu. So one is directly the virus causing inflammation within the brain tissue. Then you can also have brain damage as a result of a lack of oxygen.
According to the CDC, 13% of children who died from the flu this season had brain damage.
The CDC is paying attention to concerns that perhaps this year's flu is so intense that kids may be at increased risk for this relative to past flu seasons. But the CDC was also very careful to say this is not a condition that we are regularly kind of collecting data about.
More people were hospitalized with the flu this season than in the past 15 years. Doctors and parents now warning people to take the flu seriously.
I used to be that kind of person that was like, oh, it's the flu, you'll be okay. But like I'm telling you, this thing could take your guys' babies away from you in a blink.
Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. A Rattling Bones tournament at Sharky's Bar and Grill in Port O'Connor raised money for the Calhoun County Humane Society. And the Calhoun County Quilt Guild's show at the Bauer Community Center showcased quilts, vintage craftsmanship, and a new generation of quilters. You can read these stories and more at portlavacawave.com.
Quilts sound very nice, but I don't think we'll be needing them very soon as temperatures will start and continue rising. Now, right now, we're at 52 degrees, so it's a little cool out there, but 74 was our high today with all that sunshine. The thing is, by tomorrow, it starts warming up as the Gulf wind comes back, and I'm talking strong. So we'll talk about that coming up after this. Well, good evening, everybody. The winds tomorrow will be picking up a little bit. Today was a good day, but we're actually in a transition from that north dry wind to a more moist southeast wind. You can see right about here, we start off fairly light, but by afternoon, they'll be probably in the 15 to 25 mile an hour range. So you'll probably notice it, but it's nothing like what we had the other day. We do not have a red flag warning over our area, over South Texas, because the wind is going to be, shall we say, increasing in humidity, and that's good. But still, we're in an enhanced fire danger because things have not greened up just yet. even though we've had a lot of sunshine. And of course, with low humidities and high winds, we have problems. So let's just continue to be very cautious as we get into the weekend. But temperatures are going to start warming up. High pressure on top of us gave us the very nice day. That is going to be slowly moving eastbound. As it moves eastbound, then we watch for the next system. Here it is already out on the west coast. Very powerful combination of lows that are moving onto the west coast, which is great news for the rain, wind, and snow that we need in the western states. But that storm will cross into the plains and then bring a frontal system through our area on Saturday. And that's going to give us a little bit of a chill for one day. That's it, okay? So get a load of this. 78 tomorrow, your Thursday. On Friday, 83, 84 on Saturday. And then the frontal system comes in Saturday night so that by Sunday, it's only 70 degrees. I wish I could tell you that that front is going to bring us some rain, but it's looking really unlikely at this time. Tonight, nice and mild or cool, down to about 45 degrees as opposed to 50. And then tomorrow, with the abundant sunshine, we'll get up to about 78. You'll feel the Gulf air roll in. It'll be a little bit breezy, but it'll be moist air, not anything like that 55-mile-an-hour wind gust we had yesterday afternoon. So take a look at the big picture across the next 5 to 7 days. Here's Wednesday. Thursday, you see how this storm's gone, and we don't have to worry about that. But that's the next storm coming in our direction. And there you see it on Friday in the Rockies with rain and snow. And then it breaks out into the plains. And there you see on Saturday, as the front comes through here, some storms in Dallas, but not really down to our area. So our chances are pretty slim. There won't be enough moisture in the air to actually ring up into any kind of shower. And then by Sunday, that is long gone. So it's going to be another dry day. As a matter of fact, after the front on Sunday night, or rather Saturday, on Sunday, we may have red flag warnings to deal with another bout of gusty, very low humidity winds. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. 53 in the morning in Port Lavaca, getting up to 73, but getting windy by the end of the day in the 25 to 30 mile an hour range. Cuero, again, 45 in the morning, 76 in the afternoon. Gorgeous day. The wind is the only thing that's going to be something to watch. Other than that, you know, enjoy it. 7-day forecast, well, we're looking good for Thursday, 0%. 10% Friday, 20% on Saturday when the front comes through. But the alert day warning is up because after the front passes, we may have another red flag warning. So we need to be cautious because Sunday will be breezy, but a little cooler, only topping out at about 70 degrees. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. And we'll toss it over to Maxwell, who's got breaking news with LeBron.
That's right there, Mac. After the break, we look to see how LeBron James made some history last night. I'll tell you what he did coming up in sport. Good evening here, Crossroads. And yesterday we talked about some baseball and softball district home openers or openers for both teams there in the softball baseball ranks. Well, we're going to start today with, again, soccer action. We're going to look at the standings in the 4A and 5A ranks, starting with women's soccer. First in 4A, the Bay City Lady Cats have the lead with 11-0-1 record right now, but El Campo Ricebirds are right behind at 10-1-1. Then Hallettsville in third right now with a 9-3 record. And I mentioned, again, Calhoun earlier in the show, but also right now currently they're in the 4th spot at 5-5-1 record. Currently, Palacios would be eliminated if, again, this ended here today at the 5th spot with a 5-7 record. And again, with only 2 games remaining, see what can happen. Then in 5A, both West and East are both atop the top 2 teams. First, again, with West winning the district regular season title yesterday, 11-0 over Terry. They're going to make the playoffs, and East will. They have the 2nd spot, an 8-2 district record. Now over to men's soccer, where they start 4A. Again, we're in the same 2 teams. They're at the top right now. Again, with Bay City men's soccer team, the lead, 9-0-3 record. The El Campo Ricebirds are right behind, 9-2-1 in district play. Then Calhoun men's soccer is in 3rd place at 7-4-1 overall. Right behind there's Rice Consolidated. So currently, Palacios and Hallettsville would be eliminated again in this situation. Then in 5A, Torrey West, the only team right now in 3rd place. They have a 5-4-1 record. East is currently would be on the outside looking in with a 3-6-1 district record. Now over to UHV baseball, where they were ranked for the first time in school history by the NAI. Again, the coaches poll came out today, and they were ranked in the top 10 at number 10. The Jags were receiving votes beginning of the year, but made the biggest jump by any school to start off the rankings here for the NAI. The Jags' next game was previously scheduled there for Friday at 2 p.m., but the game did get moved tomorrow at Jarvis Christian University at noon. There'll be a doubleheader then on the next day on Friday that will also start at noon. LeBron James, now the first player in league history to score 50,000 career points. That includes games in the regular season and playoffs. Lakers star hit the mark in front of the home crowd in Los Angeles last night. And James entered the game against New Orleans Pelicans with, ready for this, 49,999 points. So really just need one more point. And first quarter, he got that 3-pointer bucket to get that over the hump with the 50,000 mark. No other player in the NBA right now is at the 50K for career. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in second with 44,149 points. And finally tonight, the 2026 Men's World Cup Final will be historic regardless which team makes it, because the first time in history it's going to debut a halftime show. Yes, FIFA president there, Gianni Infantino, said British band Coldplay is one of the top teams that will be probably one of the performance. No word is yet to be confirmed Coldplay will be the one, because previously they'd perform at the Super Bowl halftime show a couple years back, if you remember. Will take the stage. The United States, Canada, Mexico are co-hosting next year's tournament. The final schedule for July 19th will take place at New Jersey's MetLife Stadium. That's going to do it here in sports. Shawna, back to you.
All right, well, stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather forecast. Plus, a man's sharp hearing uncovered a hidden well under his home, and inside, a dog in desperate need of rescue.
Tonight from the White Lotus and the Righteous Gemstones, Walton Goggins, Mike Epps is here. We have music from Baloo Brigada, and we give a former federal worker the job of a lifetime tonight on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Congratulations are in order for the nation's most famous bald eagle couple in Big Bear, California. Jackie and Shadow have hatched 2 chicks. The first chick hatched late Monday night, with the second fluffy gray eaglet following Tuesday morning. This marked the first time in nearly 3 years that the avian couple has had a successful hatching. Jackie and Shadow have become an internet sensation since they became mates in 2018. There is still a third egg in the nest. The nonprofit organization Friends of Big Bear Valley says that there is still a chance that it could hatch because it's still within the incubation period. So all eyes are now on the happy family to see if there will be another pip, which is the initial crack of the eggshell, as the chick begins to hatch. So we hope for number 3. We'll see. Well, a man's good hearing led to the rescue of man's best friend from a well in Longview. Last week, animal control officials say the man had heard a faint barking for a couple of days before he realized the sound was actually coming from under his rented home. Wow. After arriving at the scene, the animal control officials found an empty 12-foot deep water well under the home, and a dog was trapped inside of it. It took about 3 hours for the rescuers to pull the dog to safety. Officials believe the pup had been in the well for at least several days. The dog was taken to a local vet and was pretty much unharmed except for an inflamed ear and some minor cuts. The rescue team named the Basset Hound mix Timmy after the boy who fell down the well on the classic TV show Lassie. Timmy this dog has since been adopted. So great story there. Did you ever watch Lassie? I don't know. You may be too young for that.
Way too long ago. Lassie,
that was a great.
And further beyond both of you was Rin Tin Tin. I don't remember that. Anyway, great comedy of our times. Anyway, folks, looking good for Thursday. Lots of sun, fairly low humidity, but the southeast wind will be kicking in, bringing back maybe a few clouds and some overcast overnight. Otherwise, we're looking at temperatures getting up into the 80s by the time we get to Saturday. Saturday night, a frontal system comes through. It will cool us down just about 10 degrees for the early part of next week.
Okay, so still some concern for fire danger, though, right?
We should be very careful.
Okay, all right. Well, a buck-toothed llama with a heart of gold is now a world record holder. White Top is a beloved resident of Victory Junction Camp in North Carolina, has been crowned the oldest llama in captivity. At 27 years old, this selfie-loving llama spends its days comforting children with chronic illnesses. The camp, founded by NASCAR's Kyle Petty in honor of his late son, provides year-round support for kids facing serious conditions. White Top's sweet nature and love for pets and hugs have made it a favorite, and now a record breaker.
Look at that.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
You know, a lot of kids probably get to see a dog or a cat, but you know, a llama is something.
And their coat, their hair is so soft. It's just a wonderful thing. You think you're hugging a big stuffed toy, and it's alive.
Yeah, that's why they like to pet it and hug on it.
That's
So,
right.
yeah, all right. Well, thanks for joining us. Be sure to join Carolina and Parker for Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Jimmy Kimmel Live starts now.